say anywhere.
Hey there, Tamara here, and welcome to the Loft. I have the honor and privilege of having a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine. We span back over 30 years. Maybe I shouldn't have said that because I just gave away, some but Constanzia Churn is here as my beautiful guest on today, and we're going to be talking about recalibrating the mind and moving in a purpose. So I would love for you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, Tam, it is just a joy. I don't even have words. I was so excited about this all week. But I'm Constanzia Churn, as Tam mentioned. We've known each other for 30 years. And I'm laughing at that because I'm having a hard time turning 50. But Constanzia Churn, I am a healthcare executive, mental health advocate, a mother of 2, grandmother of 3, which are my babies. I'm a wife to my wonderful husband, and just really love to talk about life experiences. Been through a lot. Tam and I have connected and stayed connected over the years, and just really looking forward to this discussion today and see how it can, possibly help someone or one person. So
Yes.
I'm happy to be here and share lived experiences and have this conversation. So thank you, Tam, for inviting me and having me here.
You are most welcome. I said we always have the best conversations. It will be years before we reconnect and talk. And it's just like we pick up right where we left off. And I know we've been recently talking about recalibration of the mind and like how the Lord like puts us in places and situations and circumstances and things where it's like we're moving and shaking, but then sometimes we get stuck, or sometimes we're not moving in that direction that we should be. So we have to rewind a little bit and get recalibrated to get back on that right path. And it's just like we were saying, I have been through it. I know you've been through it. It's like when we think about our foundations and where we started from and where we are right now and where we're going, it's amazing the things that have happened. And sometimes the things that we have to experience to get that revelation, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about your story or what your thoughts are on that.
About life, that life be lifing.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
I say all the time, life is lifing right now. Yeah, I can start from a lot of different areas. I think what would probably be best is just like where I am right now.
Yes.
And some of what Tam and I talked about earlier in the week leading up to this podcast. But I'm going to be 50, God willing, in 60 days. And I'm laughing, sorry, audience. I'm laughing because I never thought I'm like 50. 50 is really hitting me in my face. And it's causing me to reflect a lot on my life and my journey and where I want this next chapter, God willing, blessing me of what I want that to be and what I want that to look like. And, I've had a great run of, in my life. I was a teen mom. I was pregnant at 15, had my daughter at 15. So we really came up and raised up together, had my second child, my son, at 21. So I was very, very young and trying to make my mark on the world, right? I had to defer some dreams as far as college because I had the kids I had to get through, and I had to take jobs I didn't necessarily want to do, but I got there and I adjusted and I was able to move up and do what I need to do, and I did that very well, and I've been blessed for 25 years. And now that I'm approaching 50, it's like, what are you going to do for this next chapter? And it's causing me to really sit in and reflect on what really makes me happy, right? But of course, how could I monetize that? Because I mean, we're going to be very real here and transparent. money to be able to sustain yourself. But the things that I wanted before is very, very different from where I am right now. And so that getting stuck point is, okay, do you continue to do what you've normally done, or do you actually step out and do something different this time? And for me, this is really, really about investing in me in this next chapter and stepping out and doing what I truly love to do and defining that, and then being able to make that as part of my living. But you have to get yourself to the point where you kind of have to break the cycle of that conditioning of like what you thought things should be and how they should be.
Yes.
I played in the sandbox very, very well. Even at times it was very uncomfortable and where I didn't feel as though I necessarily fit into corporate America, but I played well. Now I'm at the point that's like, okay, I've done all of those things. What am I going to do next? And then how am I going to get out of my own head to realize that I have value to do what I want to do next? So I think, getting back to that getting stuck thing, you really do have to sit down and have reflective moments. First, starting out with, what do you really want to do? Like, what really brings you some sense of joy, which is something that I learned intimately at my last company that I was with, where they led with self-care and talked about joy, and not just joy, but Black joy. What do you really want to do?
Yeah.
And where I am right now, it's like, yeah, in order for me to get unstuck, I'm going to have to sit and reflect, be very, very clear on what I want this next chapter to be, outline it, and then just move forward. And so, like I was talking to Tam, I was like, it's just a matter of just doing it. And I don't know why I get in this paralysis state of like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. And, I talk myself out of it, right? I'm like, but then I watch other people do it and do it for years, and they just have to do it. And so I was saying to Tam, we just have to, with all of the things that we've been through, trauma, loss, life, all of that, sometimes you really have to just center yourself and figure out, how can I get unstuck? Or what is it going to take for me to get unstuck? What is the greatest fear? What is the thing that continues to hold me back? And for me, it's just been myself.
Yes.
Like really, really in my head way too much. In my head way too much, where reflection is going to cause you to really sit in those uncomfortable thoughts and be able to move it forward. And so that's the space that I'm in right now. And I know it sounds like it's all over the place, because it is.
I hear you.
I'm going to be real. It's all over the place because it is. I have some of those fears, some of those big fears. Can I do this?
Yes.
What will this look like? Because this goes outside of any model or anything that I've ever had to do. This is literally going out and standing on your own and creating something that you feel as though is needed to be able to sustain your life outside of corporate, outside of a structure that's already put together.
Right.
This is what you need to do. And this has been in my head to do for over 10 years now. But in alignment with what you're saying, getting stuck, I always come back to this spot, and I'm realizing that God is like, all right, enough is enough. You keep praying to me, and you keep saying these things. I keep offering you things to do different, but then you keep falling into the same thing. Now you must move forward and do what you were supposed to do. So that's what I'm trying to sit in now.
Oh my God. You see, I'm like, oh, because we was right there, because we are right there. And I feel that he's working on so many of us right now at this point in time with that very thing, because we have been designed with purpose, and he wants us to move forward in that purpose. And being that said, it's just like, all right, you're going to need to stop being hard-headed. I'm going to allow you to go down these paths that, I tried to make it straight for you, but when we hard-headed, and I love the way that you said, when you reflect and you sit in it, and you have to sit in it, and then sometimes it is uncomfortable when you think,
Oh.
it's truth. It's the truth you
This can't
speak.
even again.
Whew.
I have never been this uncomfortable in my life.
Right. Yes.
However, there's a sense of, even in the moment of being uncomfortable,
Uh-huh.
there's this bright, nagging, optimistic feeling of, if you just turn this corner, you're going to
Yeah.
be good.
Yes.
But sitting in that uncomfortable space, like really in the space of questioning everything, like your
Oh,
entire existence, was I
yes.
supposed to do this? Um, Damn, if I had, I'm a person that does not believe in having regrets,
Right.
but sometimes you go down that rabbit hole of,
Yes.
maybe I should have taken this job,
Mm,
or
mm.
um, what would have happened if I would have went away to college, to LSU at the time of coming out of school,
Yes.
and let my parents raise my daughter. What if? What would that have been? I probably
Yeah.
would have been, you know, but you got to stop those voices and
Mm.
like really sit in the uncomfortableness of everything, and wait for that clarity and everything to come through your reflection, so you can get the answer. And I always joke, I say, God is funny. God is funny. God knows that I need a brick thrown. He
Yes.
was like, what, see, he try to drop me little signs and little gems.
Yes.
And and I'd be like, okay, God, thank you. But then he's like, you know what? You still not listening. He has to throw a brick. And literally when that brick hits is when it causes me to move. And I'm like, I got to work on that too. Um, but it's uncomfortable. It's
Uh,
uncomfortable. It's because, just to like tie it together, me being in corporate America for 25 years or so, how things operate there have never aligned with me.
right.
I think that's why I never fit, right?
That's the
You know,
truth.
I
Yes.
know how to get money. I know how to move a team. I know how to inspire. I know how to be support and
Mm.
compassionate and have empathy and be a leader, like all of those things. But it never sat with me, is because it was almost like it was two different stories. It was like, one minute we really care about you, and the next minute we don't care about you at all.
Mm.
So for 25 years, 25 plus, I did that and played in that arena. And at that time, things are not as diverse and inclusive
Yep.
as they are right now. So you
Hmm.
can imagine, I'm young, I'm Black, I'm a female in
Hmm.
a very, very white male dominated world. It
Right.
made it very difficult to navigate, but I tried to and move forward in doing that. But a lot
Hmm.
of those behaviors that you build up in those moments to move you through, to cope, once you
Hmm.
step outside of it, you realize just how dysfunctional and toxic it can be. And
Yes.
so trying to unravel a lot of that to
Mhm.
move me forward to the next level and what my next thing is going to be is very, it is,
Wow.
it is extremely uncomfortable, because it's
Yes.
like, you know what to do to move the needle for success, but at what cost?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean? At what cost? And when you get close to 50, as I am, and I'm gonna keep saying that because it's a hard number for me, but when
I
you get
know.
close to, it's a hard
Ditto.
number. It's very hard. But you start to really look at everything and like,
Yes, you
what do
do.
you want your footprint to be? What do you want your next steps to be? What do you want?
Mhm.
How do you want your legacy to be when you leave this world?
Love that. Yes.
What do you want it to be? And for
Mhm.
me, I just want to live well. I'm bougie.
Oh, but I love the bougie. The bougie is good. You're good bougie. You're good bougie. Not bad.
I'm bougie. I need to make a certain amount to maintain certain things.
You taking care of yourself. That's the what do you call it? Everybody talking about the self-care, you
You know
make
what I
sure that
mean?
so
You
your
know,
mental is right.
so it's just, but yeah, right now it's uncomfortable sitting in it because it's the unknown. It's
Right.
the unknown. You can leave here and continue to do the things that you did before, but is that really in your heart and
Mm,
what you want to do? And I can answer that with a firm no. Well,
mm,
what do you want to do? I want to be able to live well, continue to live well, take care of myself, make sure
mhm,
that my thought my thought leadership is valued, and that we're moving forward and have success. But I don't want to work as hard.
Right. I absolutely love what you are sharing, because just like we were talking, I told you we are like kindred spirits when it comes to that always. Like I was telling you about the Mary and Elizabeth scripture,
Yeah.
how I said every time I talk to you, my
Yes.
spirit just leaps. Just like the babies John and Jesus were leaping in the wombs. That's what it's just like, it's only a few people that can do that when I talk to them, and you one of them. And I
Unless
love
I love
that
our
because
conversation.
I know we are right here, because like and like when you said all over the place, and it's just like, and I think that's because we really just need to regain focus and do what it is that we're supposed to do. And the reason why, and we're always in a place that is uncomfortable, because I've been in the financial industry for almost 30 years. And it's just like, and I'm laughing because when I said I've known you for 30 years, we've known each other longer than 30 years.
I'm gonna take the 30 though. That makes me
I'll
seem
take the
a
30
little bit.
too.
I'll take a 30.
I
Even
was
though
like,
when you said it, I was like, it's actually longer than
it's actually,
probably closer to 35.
yeah, I love it though. I
Me
love it.
too.
And it's like, but I think I was sharing with you like how my son mentioned to me, I always love broadcast communications.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to do that. And I feel that me being in the financial industry so long has actually been stepping stones to get me to where it is that I ultimately need to go, because of the relationship building aspect of it. See, God is so awesome. Just like you said, he's funny. He's just like, all right, you're going to keep on doing what you want to do, but I'm going to put you in a place where you're going to be schooled on what it is I ultimately want you to do in life, like to fulfill your purpose. And he has done that in this journey, which is awesome. And it's just like, that's why it's like I wanted to do that, and I didn't. Like, I was married at 20,
Oh,
had my
oh,
babies,
oh, yeah.
divorced by the age of 23. And in those 3 years, married at 20, divorced by 23. And it's
I think
just
I think I beat you there, girlfriend. I was married 6 months.
see, so
6 months.
know, you
But
know, we experienced young, and then you go through those waves and patterns, and it took me how long to find the love of my life. And it's like, but when I reflect, and as I've been reflecting, it's all worth it. Like, it may say, sound oxymoronic, but it's just like it is all worth it. Some of the journey that we go through and the uncomfortable spaces that we go through, because it pushes out that thing in us that he really wants to be pushed out, to get us to that final destination, to get us, where it is that we need to be ultimately. And we're still young. I'm claiming it. You claiming it?
claim it, girl. But that 5-0, woo! I'm gonna talk to my therapist about it. But
We still young though.
we
We
are still
still
young.
have
We are
so
still
much
young.
living
We
to
are still
do.
young.
We have so many things to do on this journey for people. And like I had shared with you, you are such an inspiration to me. You
Oh,
always have been, all the way, 30 years ago.
yeah, yeah, 30.
And I said, but you saw that entrepreneurship on you. You just have that thing. And it's just like, and a lot of times I share that you have to be born with that thing.
Yeah.
You were born with that thing. You were always a leader. And weren't you class president?
No,
No.
my boyfriend, my high school boyfriend, was a class president.
Yeah, see, now that's the old brain right there. That's telling my age. I'm losing some of my memory. But
No,
I
I'm going to share this with your listeners because, we're about transparency
but
and greatness, right? So as you talk about, all of those things, and thank you, my friend, I truly do receive all of that,
yes,
about me having the entrepreneurial spirit and having that it thing.
yes,
And it's so funny because in school, I was so engrossed with everything, being a mother, raising a child, that,
yes.
um, Yeah, I was always smart. I was born smart, but I just didn't apply myself. I was on something different. I was on a, I had adult and real world problems in high school, right?
Yes.
So my focus was a little bit different. So I
Mhm.
can remember when, you have the class president and the who has the prettiest eyes and the most likely
Right, right.
to succeed. And I can remember I was selected as the class flirt. And I told my father, and my father was my father was on 20. I'm like, all those brains, and you mean to tell me class flirt? And I'm like, so I had to throw that in there because you talked about the class president and all.
I
Like,
love that
I was
though.
I was the class flirt. Like, not most likely to succeed, not businesswoman of the year and predicting. No, class flirt.
Which is crazy to me because you had all the qualities that you hold on, that you have now. You were always that person. And it's just like, even being a young mom, you were always that person. You always intrigued me, just with your thought, just with your conversation, just the way that you handle yourself. And you always had me laughing.
Well, I had to throw that in there. Class flirt. Now, because I'm 50, if someone tries to flirt, I don't even know they flirting. I'll be like, oh, you were trying to flirt with me. Anyway, I digress.
So what that was, when you typically think about it with the flirt thing, that was your people skill. That was you
It really
building.
was.
That was your leadership. That was your boldness. That was who you are
It really
coming out. And it's just like, because you always encourage people. You always trying to bring out the best of people. You just have this natural, innate ability to bring it out of people when you speak with them, when you interact with them. And I know you always do it with me because it's just like, you inspire people to be better.
thank you.
And you inspire people to, even though you may have had some hiccups, even though may have had some things happen into your life, in your life throughout your journey, you still got up and kept on moving. You really did. And you kept on elevating. Every time I see it, it's just like you're elevating on LinkedIn. When I see you on Instagram, it's just like you're just elevating. You don't let it stop you. And I love you for that. I admire you for that. That is inspirational. It makes you know that you can do it. You
Thank you.
know,
Well,
you are
but I'm gonna keep it real because that's what we do.
yes.
It's been many times I didn't want to, and so like it's easier to just lay down.
Yeah, it
And
is.
not,
It is.
no, it really is. It's easier to just lay down and not get up, and it makes me think oftentimes of that's why I have a really soft spot for um, depression
Right.
and people who suffer from that, and are diagnosed with that, is because I know that in my toughest times and my most uncomfortable times, and even like I was just saying right before we started the podcast Tuesday, I laid in bed and just like I just
Yep.
vegged out, right?
Hmm.
I know that there is something inside of me that is going to eventually rise up and cause me to say, okay, girl, you done laid there long enough, get up, brush it off, and keep moving. And that's why I have compassion for people who have the, depression and diagnosed with that, because they just don't have that second piece of
Right.
of of they want to, but they just can't. They just don't have that second fire that kicks in at some point.
Right.
So, as you're on the outside looking in and see the inspiration and the elevation, I'm here to tell you that even behind that is some
Hmm.
very, very difficult times and some difficult moments, and where I
Hmm.
just have grace and I'm grateful that I
Yeah.
just have that second gear that does eventually kick in, right? Sometimes it's
Yeah.
longer than others, sometimes it's quicker than others, but um, and so I have a soft spot for those who don't. And so I
Yes.
I say all the time to people, that's why you got to talk to people and get it out.
Truth.
You have to talk to people and get it out. And that I rumble and struggle and fight with vulnerability. Woo! Even say even saying the word sends me like, what are we doing? Um, but I have adapted more and more in probably the last 2.5 years that vulnerability is truly, truly where it's at. And
Right.
that there's a skill to what you share from a vulnerability standpoint. Like, I was thinking you had to jump out and just share the most deepest secrets, and that's not necessarily true. You just have to
No.
share some of it, to let people know that you are real and, something that individuals can relate to. So for me, circling back to getting unstuck and all of that, that is what I'm moving into, and I'm going to walk into it fully and embrace it, of being
Mhm.
more vulnerable and sharing different aspects of my life
Love it.
that can hopefully help someone else, right?
Mhm.
Because as you say, you saw the elevation, you saw the inspiration, but I'm here to tell you, behind that, and some days it was like, I don't
Yes.
know.
I
What did you?
know
I
you.
don't know. Are you
I
going to
hear
get it
you.
today? I'm not sure.
I hear you.
You
You
know,
know we was dealing with it too, and that's why I said we are so similar in that facet, because the vulnerability piece,
Ooh,
I struggle with it bad. And I
ooh,
said, this is different from, I like had a little segment that I said, I'm doing this afraid because this is not my lane. I don't like to be seen. It's just like maybe in intimate situations, with people one-on-one. Yes, I will talk, though, especially those people that connect with me and that are in my squad. It's easy for me to be transparent and vulnerable, but it's just like, I said, okay. And I feel what God is doing with the both of us is using our gifts like that and saying, okay, you are going to have to take those masks off. You are going to have to take that cloak off a little bit. And it's just like not to expose anything and everything, but just to let people know that, it's a work, it's a struggle sometimes. And so, cause like, just like yourself, it's just like, it's not easy. It is a push each and every single day.
every single day.
Every day.
Every day. And in all fairness, in the moments that I have been vulnerable, people
Mhm.
have let me down. People have disappointed me, which made me
Yes.
be even more closed off. And I was like, vulnerability, that's a joke.
Yep.
But when I was talking to my therapist about it,
Mhm.
she said, look at it like you're doing it for you.
Mm. Mhm.
You're not doing it for the other people. Like, you're doing it for you. Like,
Mhm.
don't you feel better when you share an aspect and somebody goes, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And she was like,
Yeah.
because you will often feel like the only one, right? And I was like, yeah, that's what that is. And that's a
Mhm.
healing thing for you. You don't have to get out there and go all into detail, but you do need to start telling a little bit more and accepting that vulnerability and doing it with, like, if people want to go out here and be, asswats about it, that's just who they are, but you're
True.
not doing
Yeah.
it for them. You're doing it really, really for you, and sharing
Yes.
it really
Mm.
for you. So that, that's a big shift for me. But that word, I can't even write the word girl, because I'd be like, my brain just blocks it out. Vulnerability. All I'm hearing when I'm writing it or saying it is threat, threat, threat. That threat. They gonna get you. Don't you? They gonna get you.
I know. That is
They
so
gonna
true.
get
I never thought. It's like clink, 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 clink. No, I'm private.
you.
I don't want nobody in my business. I don't want nobody knowing nothing. And that's just it. And it's like, but we're wise. We're wisdom. We have a lot of wisdom, you and I. So we know
Yes.
that there's things that we have to filter. We ain't sharing everything, but we're going to share enough to be able to help that person. But it is not easy.
At all. I said, you want me to do what? I don't know you.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Like, that'll be a no. That can't be happening. Be like, no, but I said it's growth. We have grown. We're still growing. I thank God for it. And I
So do
said,
I.
because yes, because as
So do
we
I.
are helping people, He's healing us through the process as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel that because I like it takes so much off of you when you're able to be accountable for really truly how you feel, being true with yourself.
That's another thing as well, and that's probably a whole other podcast episode.
Yes, it's the accountability
Oh
piece.
my gosh. Accountability in itself just takes you into a totally different
Yes,
realm of, like,
that's
understanding. And like, I mean, not to bore your viewers to death, but like, we talked about being married young and, I beat you. I was 6 months, I was out. Uh, no disrespect, we in a good space, but I was out. Um, you look at being young, you look at, being vulnerable and being transparent and understanding where things are and how things are moving and everything at that point in time. And it's just like, growth in it all. Like
Mm-hmm.
you look up and you're just like, okay, I've learned from that and I'm not going to do that again. And what can I have done differently from an accountability standpoint? So like when we broke up, it was like everything was him, right? And
Yeah.
I'm lie and be very honest. Like he did you know how you get, you're
Yep.
young.
Yep.
And then as I grew and had, growth and
Mhm.
really centering, I was like, well, what did you do in that as well? Like,
Yeah.
what was your level of accountability when you
Hmm.
entered this agreement? Because he didn't just club you upside the head and say, you know, marry me, you know what I mean? Like, and drag you off to a cave. You had to consent and agree. And
Yes.
and I sat with that. I was like, yeah, I did. And I did it and knowing that I shouldn't have done it.
That's it. You just said it.
I knew I shouldn't have done it. The day I got married, I knew like who cries the day they get married? I mean, like, come on. And I'm not talking about happy tears. I'm talking about like, oh Lord, what am I doing? What's
It's
going on?
that confirmation. We have it, but we override it. It's just
We
like we just
override it.
override it and we enable the situation and like, no, no. We
So,
like second guess ourselves all the time.
yes. So I had
And
to see it in that accountability. Like
yep.
I had to, what was my piece in it? What was my accountability in it? So,
Yep.
that's how I try to look with everything in life because we
Mhm.
all know if something were to ever go wrong with you and I don't ever see that. But you would have your version of what happened. I would have my version of what happened. And
Right.
somewhere in between, it would be the version of the truth, right?
Right.
But then I think, as you grow and you have growth in relationships, personal, professional, you just have to look at the accountability aspect. And accountability is very second to that vulnerability piece of whipping your tail. Because you want me to be vulnerable, then accountable? To what? I can't do, I didn't do nothing. Yes, you
Yeah.
did. Yeah, you did. And even when you didn't do anything in action, that was kind of like doing something. So what is
Right.
your in it? So those are two big things on this growth journey that I can say have really, really made me sit down and really
Amen
unpack
to that.
about it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Connie, this has been again so inspirational. And I said, I absolutely love talking to you. And I said, I have to cut it because this can go on forever. We can talk,
So we'll be here all night.
we will
Um,
be here. But
all
I
night.
am definitely having you back on faux show.
Okay. Well, just tell me when.
Yes. And I said, because there's so many topics that I would love to
Yes.
share with you, like talk with you about and give our feedback because I love hearing everything it is that you have to say. And I don't want to leave this audience hanging. I want you to give some words of inspiration, something to leave them with, a takeaway from our conversation.
Oh gosh. The biggest thing that I can say is, well, the two things I could say.
Mhm.
Have grace, extend
Mm.
grace to yourself. Extend grace to yourself. I can repeat that over and over again. We are our own worst enemy sometimes. And you got to extend grace to yourself and realize that decisions that you make at that time was decisions you made at that time. And that it's okay. You're going to fail. You're going to succeed. Sometimes you remain stagnant, but that's okay. And the second thing I would say is just keep pushing. I know it sounds cliche,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
keep pushing. Keep pushing. Pushing through all the barriers, all the negative talk in your head. Like keep pushing. Identify what it is that you want and that you want to do, and just keep pushing forward. Keep moving. As my husband says, just drive.
Oh, I
Uh,
love it.
yeah, just drive. Just
I
drive.
love
Don't worry
that.
about the left. Don't worry about the right. Don't worry about what's behind you. Look straight ahead. Just drive.
Just drive. That's powerful right there. And I said, we are going to leave them with that to just
Just drive.
drive.
Yeah.
Amen. You
Amen.
know, I love you.
I
I
love you more.
appreciate you. And I cannot wait to chat with you again. And I will leave on that note, including I just thank you again more and more and more for just being a guest on the show and just sharing and being transparent and vulnerable.
Oh, Lord. Thank you for having me, my
You are
friend.
the
And
ultimate.
I feel like we just talking. We just all over. But thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here. And I want to say go Tigers, LSU, big game tonight. LSU, Alabama. My husband's Alabama. This is our
Yeah,
annual divide. So we enemies today. Hopefully we'll be friends tomorrow. So go Tigers.
I love it. I love it. Oh, gosh. And I just want to say to remember to hold on to that dream and with unwavering faith, live it. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Bye bye for now.